Hi, my name is Alex, and I teach astrology, human design, and resources for personal empowerment. And today we're going to talk about one of the most important days of the year, the partial solar eclipse on September 21st, 2025. We're going to talk about what that means for you personally, what it means for us as a collective, and if you make it till the end of the video, I have a special gift for you, but you'll have to have the code word that's hidden throughout this video. So let's get into it. Eclipses happen every 6 months, and the energy of an eclipse sticks around for 3 to 6 months. I like to think of eclipses as portals. They're portals into new timelines and new experiences. And every 6 months, we're offered the chance at this new beginning. Not only are we offered the chance to close out something, but we're also offered the chance to start something new. And that's what we're being offered on September 21st. Not only because it's a new moon that is supercharged because there's a partial eclipse, but also because it ends the cycle in Virgo. The first 6 signs of the zodiac, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, and Virgo, are all about personal development, self-development. But once we make it past Virgo and enter Libra, it becomes about how can we take what we've learned during the first cycle and take that out into the world? How can we use what we learned to help others? Where does it fit into the bigger puzzle? The other thing that's significant about this eclipse is that it's at 28 degrees of Virgo, which is super close to 29 degrees. So we'll just call it 29 because 29 is a point of endings. It can also bring up crisis points, but also mastery. And Virgo rules over our daily routines, but also our health and our body. So new diet and fitness regimens or anything that's supportive of your health or a new start in your daily routines can be super powerful at this time. Virgo is also about cleansing something and purifying our energy. So whatever you start on this day, that energy and that intention is going to stick around for the next 3 to 6 months. The other thing I like to look at during eclipses are what aspects are the planets making with each other. So we already know that during a new moon, the moon and the sun are traveling together. That's why it is a good time to start new intentions, because the moon is our unconscious or subconscious mind, what is hidden, and the sun is what we are consciously focused on. So during a new moon, our outer focus is aligned with our inner focus, which is why it's so powerful to set intentions around this time. The other thing that's significant about this eclipse in particular is that we have Mars at 29 degrees of Libra, which is also an ending point and a point of mastery. And it's in opposition, which means it's creating tension with Chiron, the asteroid Chiron, which represents the wounded warrior. So this can bring up issues in our relationships that have to do with Aries and Libra themes. And not only will we see this play out on a collective level in the world and people around us, but we also might see it play out in our individual and personal relationships. Aries wants to feel strong on their own. We want to be seen and recognized for who we are. Aries can be aggressive about moving forward and taking action, while Libra is more about not rocking the boat and finding peace, harmony, and cooperation. But when Mars is in Libra, this also is an opposition for the planet Mars. So Mars is already experiencing tension within itself because Mars typically wants to take action and it can be aggressive and it never backs down from a fight. But when Mars is in Libra, that means internally people are more passive aggressive than normal. Hence, when you get on social media, all these keyboard warriors that won't say it to your face, or might, who knows. But that's one of the ways that energy can be playing out. So when we've got Mars, the planet of action, in opposition to Chiron, the wounded warrior, we might feel blocked in the ways that we take action. And we may have an internal struggle when it comes to standing up for ourselves and going off on our own. But the nodes of fate in this eclipse are also in Virgo and Pisces. So there are a lot of themes of surrender during this eclipse. Purification and surrender, because 29 degrees, which we're noticing a lot of 28s and 29s in this chart, is all about endings and cleaning up something, purifying something, mastering something. And Pisces, since the North Node is in Pisces, that represents our destiny and what we are collectively and individually moving towards. And Pisces is all about closing out cycles, completing something, and surrendering to the unknown. So a lot of people may be starting new health routines at this time, but also new spiritual routines. People might be realizing that they have to give up something physically in order to achieve a higher level of consciousness or mental clarity and focus. So like I said before, anything that you give up at this time, anything that you start new, can be very powerful and can affect the next 3 to 6 months of your life. So this is a very favorable time for courses like the one I just started, my ESP development and remote viewing mastery course, because this energy will stick with you for the next 3 to 6 months. And my code word for my gift for you at the end is pink. So remember that, and I'll tell you how that applies at the end of this video. So when the nodes of destiny are in Virgo and Pisces, there will be a tendency to slip back into old Virgo tendencies at times. That is the South Node. That's what we're familiar with. Virgo can be analytical and critical, and also very by the book and OCD even. But we as a collective are being encouraged to have more faith in what we can't see, to trust in the process of surrendering, to lean on spirituality instead of what we can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch with our hands. Pisces is about the divine, the infinite, the unknown. And the more we try to control the outcome in this energy, the more difficult time we're going to have. Because when the North Node is in Pisces, we're learning to surrender, and rewards will come with that surrender. The other important aspect to look at in this eclipse is what the outer planets are doing. And what I'm seeing in the outer planets is that Saturn, karma, structure, responsibility, control, is at 28 and 29 degrees of Pisces. Again, Pisces, about surrender, endings, karmic contracts complete, surrendering to the unknown and what we can't see, especially when it comes to systems. And if you look at what's going on in the world right now, we can see how this is playing out in real time. Not only do we have Saturn closing out Neptune themes and teaching us all to learn how to surrender, but Neptune also dissolves things and it brings endings. So we're seeing a lot of endings to Saturn structures and top-down systems. We're also seeing a rise in spirituality, a rise in consciousness, a rise in spiritual careers even, and a rise in people in general becoming more open-minded. As crazy as the world appears around us, I think social media is the biggest lie, and I think a lot more people are awake than we even realize. And the other thing people have a tendency to underestimate is your power to make a difference in the collective energy field through your consciousness and your own enlightenment. So when we have Saturn and Neptune traveling together between 28 and 29 degrees of Pisces and 1 degrees of Aries, that's a cosmic reset. And that energy has been with us since March of 2025. So we've already had a taste of this energy. And as much as these old systems of control are trying really hard to stay in control, we can already see in the astrology chart that their attempts at maintaining control over the population are getting pretty feeble, because everything in the astrology is pointing towards embracing new beginnings, and it's pointing towards breakdowns and restructuring of old systems. So we have Pluto at 1 degrees of Aquarius. Aquarius is change, shocking change, innovation, rebellion. And Pluto is all about transformation, death, and rebirth. And it's about the underworld. So our underworld, our shadow work as a collective, is undergoing massive changes right now and renovations. And Aquarius also rules technology. So we're also seeing changes in technology and how we relate to technology. Then we have Uranus in Gemini, which is about communication. So how we communicate is also changing. And it just recently moved from Taurus, which is what we can see, hear, smell, taste, touch, a very stubborn energy as well, to Gemini, this fluid and open energy. So in regards to how we communicate, that is becoming more open and more flexible. And it's also revisiting themes that were happening during World War II, which ironically was some of the same themes that we're experiencing in the collective right now. Not only themes of World War II, but also the Roswell, New Mexico crash and the alien tech found at that. And now the whole collective is talking about UFO disclosure and alien disclosure. So we might also see something in regards to aliens or UFOs coming out to light under this influence over the next 3 to 6 months. The other extremely important thing about this eclipse is that it resets the moon cycle. This is huge because we've been in a cycle since July of 2024 of new moon followed by a full moon, which means we're in the cycle of planting a seed at every new moon. And then 2 weeks later during the full moon, we're seeing the culmination, the end point of that seed. And then when we wind back down to the next new moon, we also restart another new moon, full moon cycle. And we had the same aspects in April of 2023 to July of 2024 last year, where we had the same cycle that we're about to enter right now. So it might be helpful for you to think back of what you were doing in April of 2023 until July of 2024, because that moon cycle has now shifted where we're going to get the full moon, the epiphany, the closure before we have chance to set new seeds. And this can be very karmic and very beneficial for people because we're getting the epiphany and the download before we get a chance to rebuild something. From April of 2023 to July of 2024, we were experiencing the manifestation before we had a chance to plant new seeds. So it's almost like you see how something might happen or something might manifest, and then you're like, oh, whoa, okay, I don't know if I like that. So now I'm going to take what I learned and then I'm going to reset the cycle. I'm going to plant a new seed. So it's almost like the new moon to the full moon was like our training wheels, or you could look at the full moon to the new moon as our training wheels, because we're always in some kind of cycle astrologically. But when I think back to that last period of my life when it was a full moon, new moon cycle, I experienced a lot of exciting things happen, a lot of karmic rewards. And then this past year for me personally has been more about the groundwork and slow and steady wins the race. So my gut feeling how this might manifest for a lot of people is that we've put in the work the last year. So after this eclipse, we might start seeing karma come to fruition really fast. And then we get a chance to take a reset, but we're not going to see the manifestation of that sign until the next moon cycle shifts again, which won't be until May of 2027. So we're in this period from now until May of 2027 where we're going to have a lot of epiphanies, and it might be a little chaotic. We may be scrambling to plant a new seed, but it will ultimately be for our highest good and our highest growth. So that's how this energy is likely to affect the collective. But the real juice of astrology is how it's going to affect you on a personal level. Because one thing I like to remind people, no matter what is going on in the collective energy field, you are a powerful creator. So just because it might be falling apart around you doesn't mean that you can't have massive growth or massive amounts of blessings and abundance in your life, should you choose to use the power of your attention wisely. And there's a huge trap going on right now, especially for those of us that like to consume conspiracy content and those of us who are following this apocalypse timeline and the second coming. A lot of us mean well when we're talking about our prophetic dreams or when we're watching creators say something's going to happen on this day, make sure you warn everybody, make sure you plan. But when you buy into that energy, you're using your focus and your consciousness as a funnel to create that kind of energy. So I highly encourage people to be very discerning about what you're consuming and what you're taking on as truth, and to recognize that you're a powerful creator. And if you don't believe you are, I highly recommend buying a law of attraction book and start studying it and start trying experiments with yourself. I am so passionate about the law of attraction because I wish I knew about it decades ago, because my life would have been a lot different. There is so much freedom in being able to admit and to understand that you create your own reality. If you're not the problem, you're not the solution. So that is why I'm so adamant about teaching self-growth and self-development and ESP development even, because it's going to help you use your discernment so you don't get your energy siphoned into creating these apocalyptic timelines that you may not want to see. Unless you want to be a leader of the new earth and fighting people for food and fires all around, I highly suggest starting to practice some discernment and understand what your energy is going towards creating, and recognize again that you're a powerful creator. How do you want to use that power of creation in your own life? And that's where astrology can help us, because it teaches us our personal cycles. It shows us where there's room for growth, where there's room for improvement, what planets and aspects are working for you right now, what might be working against you, but how can we work with them in a way that benefits us? That is what I am passionate about doing. I love sitting with people one-on-one and showing them this. So that is where my gift for you comes in. If you made it to the end of this video, and if you got the code word that was hidden in the episode, I'm offering you personal readings for $22 to see where the eclipse hits your personal chart, which will tell you what energy are you going to be experiencing over the next 3 to 6 months. How can you best work with these aspects depending on where they're hitting your personal houses? What themes might you expect to see over the next 3 to 6 months? My personal eclipse mini readings are usually $33, but you're going to get $11 off if you mention this video and the code word. And you can book a personal reading through a private message on Instagram or TikTok at Statements by Alex, or you can visit the link in my description and go to my book a reading form. I'm also super excited about my eclipse offer for you. So for one day and one day only during the eclipse, I will have a pay what you can option for my ESP development and remote viewing mastery course. It's a $55 value, but for one day and one day only, you can pay what you can afford. So if you can only afford $20, if you can only afford $5, that is my gift for you, because I believe everybody should have access to tools that can expand their consciousness. But after the 21st, it's going back to regular price. So go ahead and check out the link in my description for that. On the 21st, you'll have 24 hours to purchase that course on the pay what you can option. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Share it with your friends if you think they will benefit from this information as well. Happy manifesting. And thanks for sticking around. I will see you guys in the next video.